and Hannah is in her bedroom, talking on the phone with her friend Sophie. Hannah is holding an official-looking envelope in her hand. It is from the Young Reporters Association. Hannah tells her friend, "I wonder what it is about." "Go on then. What are you waiting for?" asks Sophie. "Open it right away. I'm so excited." Hannah opens the letter and reads aloud. "Dear Hannah, we are very happy to inform you that the Young Reporters Association has randomly selected you to participate in the first International Photo Convention with your photographs. The convention will take place on the 27th to the 31st of July in Beijing. You will also have another 6 days for sightseeing on a train tour with Michael, one of our Chinese members. The Young Reporters Association will plan and pay for the whole trip. So, pack your bags, Hannah. You are going to China. Ying, General Secretary of the Young Reporters Association. They want to send me to China. I can't believe my luck, she exclaims. I have never been to China before. What an interesting place to go. Hannah, that's great news, exclaims Sophie. I know, answers Hannah. I have never been to China, but it has always been one of my dreams, she says. Yes, it's an amazing opportunity for you, says Sophie. And when you get back, you could write a report about your trip for the school online newspaper. What do you think? Oh, Sophie, laughs Hannah. Okay, you never seem to forget your position at the paper, do you? Well, I'm not the editor for nothing, the girl laughs back. Let's hang up now, she adds. You have to do some research before the trip, don't you think? You're right, says Hannah. China, here I come. Chapter 2. After a long flight, Hannah finally arrives in Beijing. At the airport, a young man is waiting for her. He is holding a sign reading Hannah Y. Hannah goes towards him, and the man greets her warmly. Nice to meet you, Hannah, he says, and introduces himself. I am Michael, and I work for a local teen magazine here in Beijing. I will be your guide in China, he says as he takes her suitcase. Hannah is relieved. Everything is so strange to her here, and there are so many people everywhere. Michael takes Hannah to her hotel by taxi. You must be tired after your long trip, he says when they arrive. Have some rest, and we'll meet again in the afternoon. Then you can have a taste of China. Hannah smiles as she goes to her hotel room. I wonder what he meant, she thinks to herself. Oh well, I guess I'll find out in a few hours, she says, and falls asleep right away. After her nap, Hannah feels like a new person. She meets up with Michael and his sister Emma. The two take her to a restaurant in the old city. So, that's what you meant by the taste of China, Hannah exclaims. Yes, smiles Michael. You're going to enjoy a traditional Beijing dinner. Hannah remembers the delicious Chinese food in New York and is excited to try some authentic Chinese cuisine. Maybe it will be even tastier. At the restaurant, Hannah sees a round piece of glass in the center of the table. I know, shouts Hannah. It's a rotating tray. The waiter puts all of the dishes on the tray so that the people at the table can turn it and try each of the different kinds of food, she says with a smile. It is customary to try a little bit of everything. It is also polite to always leave the last bite on the plate, says Emma. When the waiter comes to the table, they order traditional tea and several different dishes. We ordered Peking duck. It's a famous dish here, explains Emma. The cook then brings the roast duck and cuts it in front of them. A waiter also brings different dishes to eat along with the duck. Hannah is impressed. What are all these little bowls? Asks Hannah. There are pancakes in this one, and vegetables, and 3 different kinds of sauces. Michael and Emma laugh. Let me show you how to eat Peking duck, says Emma. First, you take a pancake. Then you put some sauce and some vegetables on your pancake. Okay, I got that, says Hannah. This is fun, actually. Now put some duck in the pancake and wrap it. Enjoy, says Emma, smiling at the girl. Delicious, says Hannah. No wonder it's so famous. They take turns turning the tray and tasting the different kinds of food. Michael and Emma are eating with chopsticks. Is it difficult to eat with chopsticks? Asks Hannah. No, not really, says Michael. Emma offers to teach her. I've never learned so much at a dinner table before, Hannah says with a giggle. It is a fun evening of new experiences. Chapter 3. The next day is very busy. Hannah spends almost all morning at the photo convention, presenting her work and talking to lots of people. Then she and Michael meet with Emma, and they go to Tiananmen Square. Wow, this square is huge. It is much larger than any other square I have ever been to, Hannah exclaims. This, my dear, is the largest city square in the world, boasts Michael. 1 million people can fit here. And who's that in the picture over there? Asks Hannah. It's Mao Zedong, the founder of the People's Republic of China, explains Michael. Next, the 3 friends take a tour of the Forbidden City. Hannah is impressed by the artwork and history she discovers there. The Forbidden City is about 600 years old. It used to be the Chinese emperor's palace. You see, in Chinese history, there were no kings or queens. We had emperors and empresses. Now, the place is a huge museum, the Palace Museum. Common people could not enter the Forbidden City. That is why they called it forbidden, says Michael. Hannah and her friends are now in the Hall of Supreme Harmony. The Emperor's throne is here, says Emma. Hannah looks around. There are dragons everywhere. Hannah is impressed and asks Emma about it. The dragon is a symbol of power, strength, and good luck, Emma explains. It was also the symbol of the Emperor himself. In the Hall of Supreme Harmony, experts counted 13,000 dragons, adds Michael. As they walk towards the exit, Hannah hears Michael's voice. Come on, Hannah, Michael shouts. I'm hungry. Let's have some lunch. That sounds great, Hannah replies. Where shall we eat? She asks as they walk towards the exit. I know. Let's have a picnic near Tiananmen Square. We can buy some sandwiches over there, Michael suggests, pointing to a shop across the street. They sit down on a bench and have a lovely picnic in the warm sun. Hannah is admiring a very large modern building across the street. That is a beautiful building, says Hannah. It looks like a giant egg, doesn't it? You're right, Hannah, says Emma. It is the National Center for the Performing Arts, but the local people just call it the Egg. Concerts, operas, and plays take place there. After lunch, they go to the Olympic Green, the most modern part of Beijing. Wow, look at all those buildings, Hannah exclaims. That one looks like an ice cube. Yes, it's a very interesting building. That's the National Aquatic Center. It housed the swimming and diving competitions of the Summer Olympic Games in 2008, replies Michael. See that one over there? Says Emma, pointing at a very strange structure. That's the National Stadium, the Bird's Nest. Can you see why? Of course. It's like a gigantic bird's nest, Hannah replies. China has certainly changed a lot since the times of the emperors in the Forbidden City. Chapter 4. For Hannah's last day in Beijing, Michael and Emma have a special surprise for her. They decide to take their friend on a short trip. Where are we going? Asks Hannah at the bus station. We can't tell you. It's a surprise, says Michael with a grin. Yes, you'll see when we get there, says Emma with a giggle. Now let's get on the bus. The scenery changes outside the bus window. The tall skyscrapers and cars of the city soon give way to smaller buildings and fewer cars until there are only endless golden fields. Where are we going? Hannah wonders. Then she looks outside the window and suddenly realizes, wow, the Great Wall of China, one of the greatest wonders of the world, she exclaims. How long is it anyway? She asks her friends. The Great Wall of China is about 21,196 kilometers, or 13,171 miles long, Michael says proudly. And it's more than 2,000 years old, he continues. The Emperor Qin Shi Huang of the Qin dynasty started the wall around 221 BC. Adds Emma. But work continued during the Han and until the Ming dynasty in the 14th century, she says. Thousands, if not millions, of people worked day and night to finish the wall. It's very impressive, says Hannah, as the three walk to the closest part of the Great Wall. It is on a steep hill. This is a beautiful walk. But it is harder than it looks, Hannah says, stopping to catch her breath. Don't worry, Michael replies. You will be able to relax later. What do you mean? She asks. It's another surprise, Michael says, smiling. A whole day of surprises. This is so much fun. You two are great, Hannah says, as she takes photos of her new friends on the Great Wall. Now say cheese. A little later, Michael and Emma look at Hannah and smile. It is time to show you a different China, says Michael. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be another great experience, Hannah says, smiling back. Another bus takes them beyond the fields until they reach a small farming village. They get off and see an elderly man and woman. They greet the three friends in Chinese, Hannah says. Hello, and then turns to Michael and Emma. They are our aunt and uncle, says Emma. They don't speak English, but they are very friendly. Then they all walk down a small road with gates and walls on all sides. They enter one of the gateways. "This is our aunt and uncle's house. It is very traditional," says Emma. Next, they all sit down and have tea together. "Tea is very important in Chinese culture," explains Emma. "Chinese people drink a lot of tea, and we also celebrate a number of occasions with tea ceremonies." "Oh, good," smiles Hannah. "I love tea. It's my favorite drink." On their way back a few hours later, Hannah remarks, "It was so exciting to see what life is like for people in the countryside. It is very different from the busy Beijing life." "Well, a lot of Chinese still live in villages like that, not cities," explains Michael. "What do you think of life in the village?" Emma asks. "The village is quieter, and the countryside around it is very beautiful. However, there is more technology in the city and more things to do than in the village," says Hannah thoughtfully. "I guess that city life and village life are both nice, but in different ways." Chapter 5. The next stop on Hannah's trip is even more interesting. After getting a good night's sleep on the train from Beijing to Xi'an, Hannah, Emma, and Michael go to see the Terracotta Army. They take a guided tour of the ancient site. The Terracotta soldiers' purpose was to protect Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China after his death. His tomb has about 8,000 clay soldiers surrounding it. "It is a truly amazing sight," says the guide. "I've seen nothing like this before," whispers Hannah into Emma's ear. "They look alike, but they are all different. Each soldier's face is unique," the guide continues. "The soldiers are as tall as real people, and they had swords, knives, crossbows, and other weapons. Surprisingly, all these were as sharp as new. According to their roles, the height of the soldiers varied. The tallest are the generals, and you'll also find officials, warriors, chariots, horses, even acrobats and musicians. Some of them have missing parts, and others are still in the dirt. However, some of the soldiers are in very good shape and seem new, as you can see," says the guide. "I wonder how many people had to work to make this army," Hannah whispers, and the guide hears her. "According to Sima Qian, an ancient historian, more than 700,000 workers worked on the emperor's tomb for about 38 years, he explains. "Wow, amazing!" exclaims Hannah. "But where is the tomb?" "Ah, the tomb is still a mystery," adds the guide. "Archaeologists have found the tomb, but they have not opened it yet." "No? Why not?" asks Hannah. "Surely there will be lots of treasures inside." "Well," says the man, "that's what Sima Qian's book says, but archaeologists are worried that they might damage the valuable objects inside the tomb." "I see," says Hannah. "There is something else too," adds Michael. "There are traps inside the tomb, dangerous traps to prevent tomb raiders from stealing the treasures inside. At least, that's what the legend says." "Oh, it's such an interesting story. I guess we'll have to wait and see." Hannah smiles. With or without the treasures from the emperor's tomb, this place is fantastic. Chapter 6. The next day, Hannah, Emma, and Michael go to Shanghai on another overnight train. The first place to visit is an area called the Bund. It's a lively place by the Huangpu River, full of beautiful historical buildings. They walk down a street called Nanjing Road, the main street of the Bund, and have lunch at a restaurant. Hannah tries Shanghai crispy chicken, and she finds it delicious. I'm really getting used to using chopsticks. It's actually a lot of fun, Hannah says excitedly. After lunch, they walk a few blocks to the Yu Garden in Shanghai's old city. It is a traditional Chinese garden with beautiful old buildings called pagodas. It is very large, and they take their time exploring it. There are various trees, rocks, and small ponds with bridges. Ducks and fish are swimming in the water, and there are dragons on the walls. The trees, plants, and flowers are so pretty, and it's so peaceful here, Hannah admires. It is the perfect place to walk around. It makes you feel you are at one with nature. Well, that is exactly what the Chinese garden is about, says Emma. Here, one can escape from the busy daily routine and have some time to themselves. After a pleasant walk through the Yu Garden, Emma and Michael take Hannah to the Yu Market right outside. The Yu Market is so noisy and busy with people, Hannah exclaims. It suddenly feels like we're in a different city. Of course, it's noisy, says Emma. Shanghai has the largest population in China. Hannah has fun choosing a few traditional gifts. A pearl necklace for her mother, chopsticks for all her family, and a beautiful silk dress for herself. Then she asks Emma, I want to get something special for my friend Sophie. What do you suggest? Emma points to some Chinese silk scarves. How about one of those? Chinese silk is famous worldwide. Great. Sophie will love it, Hannah says enthusiastically as she buys the scarf. Chapter 7. When Hannah wakes up the next day, she looks out of the window and sees that it is raining. Oh no, says Hannah, disappointed. What are we going to do now? We can't see much of Shanghai in the rain. Don't worry, Hannah, Michael says. We can still see a lot today. We just need to go above the rain. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm happy to follow you on another surprise tour, says Hannah. First, they take Hannah to the Shanghai World Financial Center. It's a 492-meter-tall building with 101 floors. We'll go to the third observation deck on the 100th floor, says Michael. I hope you're not afraid of heights. No, of course not, says Hannah, and smiles as she remembers her New York experience. Once they get to the observation deck, Hannah takes a look around and says, It is fantastic up here. We are even higher than the clouds. We really are above the rain. We are 474 meters or 1,555 feet above the ground, explains Emma. Have a look at the view. It's amazing. What's that building over there? It's very interesting, Hannah points out of the window. That's the Oriental Pearl TV tower. We're going to visit it next, says Michael. When they arrive at the Oriental Pearl TV tower, they visit the rotating restaurant. It stands 267 meters or 876 feet above Shanghai. This place is great. Hey, look, I can see the SWFC from here, says Hannah, looking out of the large windows. The rain stopped, says Emma. Suddenly, a rainbow appears in the sky. Wow, admires Hannah. How wonderful. She has a great day in the Shanghai sky. Chapter 8. After taking the last train ride of their trip, Hannah, Michael, and Emma arrive in Hong Kong. I can already tell that Hong Kong is different from any of the other places we've been to. The cars are driving on the left side of the road, Hannah says during their taxi ride to the hotel. That's not the only difference, Emma tells Hannah. The people here speak Cantonese. It is different from Mandarin Chinese, but they also have much in common. Tell me some more about Hong Kong, asks Hannah. I don't really know much. Well, it is one of the most populated places in the world with an amazing culture. Hong Kong's landscape is also unique. There are hills and tall mountains, parks and nature reserves, and there are about 200 offshore islands. Visitors have a lot to do here. Just wait and see, Emma says. After leaving their luggage in their hotel rooms, they head to the Peak Tram. It takes them up to the peak, the top of one of the nearby mountains, 396 meters above sea level. The view from the top of the Peak Tower is breathtaking. Hong Kong's skyline is very impressive. As you can see, there are more than 7,600 skyscrapers. But that's not what makes the place so special, Emma says. Yes, it is a great mixture of amazing buildings and beautiful landscapes. The view is fantastic from up here, replies Hannah enthusiastically. Let me take your photo. The light is wonderful right now, she tells her friends, as she reaches in her pocket for her camera. This picture will be suitable for the next photo convention, she says, and smiles. Chapter 9. Hannah looks out of her window at the Hong Kong skyline. The place looks magical at night, with millions of lights shining. It's my last night in China, Hannah keeps thinking. She feels a bit sad about it, but she is also a little homesick. I'm sure tomorrow will be a day to remember, she thinks, and goes to sleep. The next morning, the three young people go to a place called Aberdeen on a nearby island. On the way there, they pass by a park in Kowloon City. Hannah notices a large group of people who are all standing in the park in strange positions. What are they doing? She asks curiously. They're practicing Tai Chi, an ancient Chinese martial art, explains Michael. Really? Can we get off the bus and watch for a while? Hannah asks. Of course, replies Emma. People who practice Tai Chi do a series of warrior movements very slowly, concentrating on their bodies. It helps them stay healthy, Michael tells Hannah. How interesting, Hannah says. Would you like to try? Asks a woman. The class is free, and it's only an hour long. Hannah is thrilled. Emma, can you take some pictures of me practicing? I want to show them to Sophie when I get back. Next, Hannah and her friends take the bus to Ocean Park in Aberdeen. It's a huge place with lots of attractions, explains Emma. We're going to take you to see the giant pandas. Wow, they're so big, exclaims Hannah when she sees the animals in the giant panda habitat. But they're cute. Pandas are in great danger. Only 1,000 to 3,000 remain in the wild, says Michael. How about a visit to Aqua City next? Asks Emma. That sounds great, Hannah agrees. She's right. Thousands of colorful fish and other sea animals make their visit unforgettable, Hannah keeps thinking. It will make a great article for the school newspaper, she thinks to herself. Sophie will be thrilled. Chapter 10. The three of them are tired, but their visit to Aberdeen hasn't finished yet. Michael and Emma take Hannah to the famous floating village on Aberdeen Harbor. They call it floating because it is a village of boats, explains Emma. This is incredible. There are so many boats that I can't even see the water, exclaims Hannah. All these people live on their boats. Their lives depend on fishing in the sea. The boat people of Hong Kong have lived this way for centuries, Emma explains. Now, smiles Michael, since it is our last dinner together, it must be special. So, they go to the Jumbo Kingdom, a famous floating restaurant. Give me a minute, says Hannah, and disappears for a while. When she comes back, she's wearing her Chinese red silk dress. I bought it for a special occasion, she says. Well, it is a special occasion. Emma gives her a big hug, and they sit down to enjoy their dinner. The lights of the floating village make the place look magical. The next day, the time has come for Hannah to say goodbye to her Chinese friends and board the plane back home. I am sad to leave, but I will come back to China someday. Now I have an extra reason. I have good friends to visit here, she says to Michael and Emma with a smile. We must stay in touch. Promise? Asks Emma. I promise, says Hannah, and you must come and visit me someday too. As she sits down in her seat, she thinks about her visit to China, the people, the food, the sights. Everything was incredible. Well, she thinks, and a big smile appears on her face. I wouldn't trade this experience for all the tea in China.